Yep, Dan agrees. I can feel it in my toes. We're in for a dusting. Um, hmm. Yeah, time to track down Hartigan and see what he knows. Hartigan has been at the center of so many things that it is hard to imagine that he doesn't know something about these odd raiders. Certainly he wouldn't turn you away, not with Miss Carroway walking beside you. Grey Peaks, out in Oregon, Miss Carroway says quietly to your ears alone. That's where he'll be. Good shelter, water, and game for winter. Plus it's just 2 steps over to the Nevada border. But you know you can't take the Saints along. That's just asking for trouble. Send off Bishop, Hancock, and the scouts. They can go after the raiders if they want. I hope you know what you're doing, Bishop Hancock says as he and the others prepare to ride off. And I hope I'll see you alive real soon. You head north and try to outrun the coming snow. Dan glances up at the wall of white as it rolls down and casts wary glances toward the mountains. Miss Carroway rides on with an easy gait and idly whistles from time to time. Only when she catches you watching does she stop for a little while. After several days of hard riding, you would at last draw near the grey peaks, slate monoliths that scratch at the sky. The clouds have gotten thick around those spires, and soon snow begins to blow in from the side. Even through all your layers of clothing, you can feel the frigid air closing in, trying to wrest your very breath from you. Then you see someone, there, high up on the hills, a faint silhouette that swiftly retreats from sight. The Hartigan gang is near, you are certain of it. Defer to Miss Carroway. We'd best wait for them, she says. They'll get their rifles out and hands warmed up before they... A pair of figures wander out of the swirling white snow. They stare over at you a long moment, then shift their gaze to Miss Carroway and give a wave to come on over. Bobby, Ben, she calls out to them as she rides on up and soon has them chattering away. The campsite is tucked into the lee of a solid granite outcropping. There a host of colourful tents flap in the breeze. A half-finished lean-to lies near the crease of earth and stone. Amid it all is a deep fire pit that sits unlit despite a dozen men and a scattering of women huddled near. Not a weapon is in sight, but you expect that under the many layers of blankets there is a veritable arsenal waiting to be revealed. Hartigan steps out of the lean-to and idly adjusts his collar with near-numbed fingers. His hard grey eyes take you in for a long moment before his lips quirk toward a grin. Lovely weather we're having. You don't have a fire going? Of course not. Gotta wait until it gets cold. Hartigan notes. Miss Carroway steps up to her father and delivers a firm familial hug. Afterwards she eases back. She looks her father over with a critical eye. You've been losing weight. I'm wearing 2 coats and 3 shirts. How the devil can you tell that? Hartigan asks. Fine. All that gold we got from the stagecoach, everyone wants their cut and they want it now. Trouble is, I know what happens if they go spending it right away. I've tried explaining that to them, but they don't want to listen. Guess that's what comes from getting something too easily. Dan clears his throat. Hey there, Rich. That's me, Hartigan says and grins over at the prospector. We ain't got a proper fire, ain't got proper grub, but you're welcome to tell us proper tales until this blows over. A horse whinnies in the distance, and the bandits rise from their seats and hurry toward the sound. A team of horses pulls a sled piled high with logs and brush, all of which gets piled and stacked near the fire pits, with the driest portions set in the bottom. Soon enough, flint and steel is struck and flame begins to lick at the logs. You going to be here all winter? Miss Carroway asks her father. Maybe. Why? Hartigan replies, then looks to you with sudden understanding. Oh, this is about business. It's all about business. Well then, lay on, Macduff. Hartigan offers over. That's from the play Macbeth. Saw it down in Elko a little while back. Gotta say, we get better actors out this way every day. Did you know that there has been a raid on a farm near Albion Falls? That happens, Hartigan admits. But you won't catch my boys doing it. Homesteads are never worth it, what with most of their money sunk into fields and such. And I might have an old horse or some pigs, but those are hard to sell and worse to eat. Is Hungry Snake around? No, he's not. Do you use this place as a hideout very often? It is one of a few I've got, Hartigan says. The value of a hideout varies depending on what you're hiding from. Right now, being in Oregon and not getting found were part of its charm. When the weather turns, we'll have to move, because you being here means it isn't as safe as I thought. Do you know anyone who might have led such a raid? There's plenty of Indians who might try it, Hartigan says thoughtfully. They like taking mirrors and trinkets, blankets and cloth, but for whites? No. No one I know would be that desperate. Like I said, there's no profit in it. Haven't you ever thought about settling down, not leading a gang? I'm just here until I can turn a stock deal and really make a killing. A perfectly legal and lucrative one, he says and grins like a hungry cat. Then I'll rub elbows with murderers and thieves of a different sort. Let's just cut to the chase, shall we? I get the feeling that you suspect that my friend led the raid against those Mormons, Hartigan notes coolly. I need to know where a band of raiders might have holed up for a time. You aren't looking for a hungry snake in particular, but if he should happen to be there, Hartigan notes. Well, what a coincidence that would be. I get you. So let me ask you this. What if you find him? What would you do? Yeah, I need to know why he's doing this and if someone is paying him. So answers is all you want? Maybe you can get them. Heck, I expect he'll be talkative if you approach him, right? Just don't get no one shot, Hartigan says. Hartigan steps to a trail pack and extracts a map case. From within he pulls out a small sheaf of scribblings, some little better than charcoal on rough paper. He peers over at the marks, then consults a calendar. He said he's going to be out for a while, but come December he'll be headed off into the Painted Caves, Hartigan says at last. Nice place, very colourful, with plenty of shelter. Water's the only problem, but the lower caves are warm enough to melt snow. As you begin to study the map, a shout erupts from above as a man calls down from atop a mountain. Cavalry, bluebacks, 100 of them. A low thunder rises in the quiet that follows. Horses, 100 or more. Hartigan snaps his fingers. His people throw off their blankets and grab their weapons. Seems the US cavalry has come without bothering to wait for an invite. Alright, I need to take a quick break. I'll be right back. Okay, what do we do here? I think we're leaving for the Painted Caves. Actually, we could head out to meet the cavalry. Oh, this is risky. But if we leave, Hartigan might well be dead. Alright, we're heading out to meet the cavalry. Hartigan glances over as you saddle up and head toward the cavalry. The story I like to tell is that we're just prospectors wintering near our claim, but if you tell them we're circus performers and it gets them out of here, I'm fine with that. A quick ride around the ridgeline finds a line of horsemen clad in buff blue uniforms that stand out bright against the snow white. There may not be 100 of them, but there's still plenty more than Hartigan has at hand. The column slows and a pair of men ride forward. Both are lean and rangy types, tall too, though that might just be the hat. The foremost has a shine of gold at his collar, and that makes him a captain. The other bears the smaller bars of a lieutenant. Hello there, the captain calls out as they draw rein. We thought this country uninhabited, except by Indians. That is a mistake people often make. Apparently, I'm Captain Baker, U.S. Cavalry. This is my aide, Lieutenant Dawson. The captain indicates the man beside him. Up close, Baker has more than a bit of grey about the temple, with deep worry lines that mark out his features with lines of shadow. Clean-shaven, without even a hint of sideburn, you are hard-pressed to guess how many decades he has seen. On the other hand, his lieutenant has a handlebar moustache that deserves its own name. Wax, too, even out here. No great shadows under his eyes either, which makes him seem all the more junior to the older man. I see a tin star there, Captain Baker notes pleasantly, as if a snowstorm were not blowing in. That makes you a marshal. Marshal Steele, I presume. A wary tingle runs up your spine at the mention of the false marshal you had to root out of Preston Springs and how these men knew it. I expected Steele to be older, Dalton notes coolly as he eyes you up and down. Name's Smith, not Steele, though I'm familiar with the man. Dalton gives a tiny, almost conspiratorial nod. Baker gives a soft cough. Well then, Marshal Smith, let us move on. I have questions concerning the camp ahead. It's a gang. It's a camp belonging to a gang of outlaws headed by Richard Hartigan. I have this matter well in hand, gentlemen. Circus caravans are a local matter. I see, Captain Baker says. But we still have our task. Indians are on the warpath, according to reports, and they must be dealt with. You see, the Indians just won't learn, Lieutenant Dalton adds as his superior falls quiet. We've tried civilizing them back east, but it just won't take. And during the recent war, they threw in with the South. I fear there will be no peace until there are no Indians, Captain Bacon notes wanly. They're peaceable enough when they have cause, Hartigan says. I know because I've lived among them. So have I, Captain Baker replies evenly. I don't mean riding out and staying the night. I mean a full turning of a year, winter to winter. Oh, no, that's Hartigan. I don't mean riding out and staying the night. I mean a full turning of a year, winter to winter, like my own ancestors used to do back in Europe. The old ways have served them well, Hartigan points out. When you impose laws... I fail to see what that has to do with anything, Captain Baker says. We live here and now, not then. Furthermore, we have ridden a long way, following a war party of Paiute from Sarabasan. Do you know of them or any other Indians in these parts? If you're looking for Indians, no. Can't say as I have. Good luck with your hunting, Captain. And to you with your travels, Baker replies, then tips his hat and rides off with Dalton trailing behind. Hartigan breathes a sigh of relief once they're out of earshot. That could have gone poorly. Thank you. Together, the two of you watch the cavalry ride off, headed for conflict and glory. I hope you find out what you need to know from Hungry Snake, Hartigan says. That's because I get the feeling that this whole thing is loads bigger than what I can see. You can find him in the Painted Caves, not far from here. With that, Hartigan heads back to the camp where his gang is already packing things up, despite the inclement weather. Grey Peaks is just too crowded now, Miss Carroway notes after she returns from saying her goodbyes, leans over and gives you a pat on the back. You looked after my father and his fellows, and none of us will forget it. You ride and ride until at last you find what you're looking for. The cave mouth is a black thing that drinks in the dying sunlight, a dragon's maw from which sulphurous air drifts out in steamy gouts. The raiders are in there, somewhere, and you doubt they'll be willing to come out. The cave mouth beckons. The tracks from a dozen horses lead straight in. The raiders will be just inside, shaking off the cold and tending their steeds. It will be a gunfight, close quarters, and brutal. Miss Carroway cradles her cloth-swathed shotgun, unwilling to let the winter air bite into it even now. There are at least two dead men waiting on that double thunderclap. Dan Schmidt draws your eye. He stares at the rocky slopes above as if he's seen them before. Maybe he has. What do you think, Carrie? I think it's going to be a tough fight, Miss Carroway notes, and I think we could do better than rush straight in. I'm thinking that a black powder charge thrown in first might stampede their horses, or at least set them back on their heels for a moment. Okay, hold on. I just want to consider the other options. What do you see, Dan? Caves like this. There's the big openings down below, and then there's the small ones up above, Dan says and points toward the nearby peak. I expect that these fellas never bothered to find all the little openings, at least not when there wasn't any snow. We could just take a walk and find ourselves a gap to slip on through. Yeah, I like that. Sure, we'll do that. The snow is heavy up top, a thick layer hand deep, except where the warmer air leaks out from the caves to create an icy crust that Dan readily demolishes. It takes a while to find one big enough to wiggle through, but soon enough, there it is. Dan rigs up a rope, stands steady above, and you drop down in. Darkness all around except for the feeble light that trickles down from above. Warm though, at least warmer than it is outside. Quiet as well, a good thing. Miss Carroway slides down the rope and lands beside you. With one clean motion she unlimbers a shotgun that clacks with its usual menace. Now this'll be interesting, she notes in a whisper that readily echoes off the walls as she steps away. The rope wiggles a bit as Dan puts it into place on an outcropping. Trouble is, it'll wear against a stone as he descends, and even the best weave can cut and snap. Then you hear a grunt from above, see Dan lower himself down, hand by hand, down rough stone. His fingers bite in and his bare feet shift to find purchase until he works his way down to drop beside you. Only then does he wipe bloodied hands and throw his socks and boots back on. Good to know I can still do that. Give a grunt of agreement. Dan sniffs the air and points into the darkness. This way, I think. There's a bit of smoke and we ain't burnt nothing yet. That hint of smoke grows heavier as you slowly make your way through the caves. Passages twist and narrow until you have to squeeze sideways or crawl to get through. All in the dark, of course. Then just ahead comes a flicker of light, the spill of a lantern and soft echo of voices. Dan taps your hand, gives a tug, and the two of you move on ahead to a narrow little outcropping above a high ceiling that could do a vaulted chapel justice. And there, down below, is just the man you're looking for. He's not alone either. Hungry Snake has his namesake boots up on a solid table set at the center of the coven below. Amid stalagmites and stalactites, he sips from a silver cup and bandies words with a pair of paper-collar Easterners. The first of those is a lean man of 20 and some, with a pair of rimmed glasses perched upon his nose. Slick black gloves cover his hands, and his suit has a definite French flair to the cuffs as he lounges opposite the Indian. Cufflinks of pearl shine, a golden pocket watch gleams, and a pistol that matches both rests in a holster by his side. A gold-banded cane lies propped against the table and shifts ever so slightly as he pours himself a cup of wine. Between them sits a young woman with her long blonde hair gathered into an elegant coif and secured with an emerald stickpin. Dangling about her neck lies a monocle that nearly disappears into the ruffles of her forest green dress. A shine of silver arises from her wrists as thick bracelets shift when she reaches for her own cup. Nearly every finger of hers is adorned with a similar burden of silver, topped with rubies that glow a fine contrasting red, that is matched by the ruby-hilted dagger belted almost idly at her hip. But will it be enough? The man asks Hungry Snake. I've heard that Westerners can be quite inured to the troubles out this way. Give it the winter, Hungry Snake suggests. Let them tell and retell the stories. Let them stew until their angry juices are set to burst. Then all it will take is a little prick, a single raid when the snows vanish and the war you seek will come. Excellent, the woman says and claps her hands before she glances over at the unknown man. Reginald, my dear brother, I think we should tender our gift now. It is clear that Mr. Snake here has things well in hand, and that half the trouble of that difficult Mr. Hartigan. I do like gifts, Hungry Snake notes, but it ain't been easy. They were following close, you know. Reginald gives him a nod. Well, Marshall still did have to make it look good for his men. And looking good is important right now, the woman notes and regards Hungry Snake with more than idle interest. Perhaps we should see Mr. Snake properly adorned. If you say so, Regina. Reginald replies with an edge of wariness. Regina eases to her feet and her brother rises by courteous reflex. Clearly the little gathering is about to break up and the angle of the ledge is denying you all but the most difficult of shots. Spill a cup onto Reginald's trousers. We could try and intercept her in the side tunnel. Or we could take a shot at Hungry Snake, but what's our shooting? 43%, that's not going to work, is it? Try to intercept her in the side tunnel. The branch off tunnels proves a long and twisting one. Plenty of twists, but thankfully there is only one way path of any note. Soon enough the scent of horses wafts your way, and then the walls begin to edge away and the firm glow of lantern light mixes with diffuse sunlight to fill a cave ahead. A pair of fine horses stamp uneasily and amid a small bevy of mules as a bit of snow shifts in through a cave mouth nearby. The wind stirs a plethora of harness and tack with copious saddlebags strewn about the stone floor like leaves after a storm. And it is there that you find Regina sorting through a small chest of jewelry. Her emerald-toned dress is a fine silk affair that is completed by a red ruby dagger at hilt. Elegant lace and firm frill make for a startling contrast amid the gloomy interior. She shifts long blonde hair absently aside, considers a variety of earrings and necklaces from gold to silver, each with a different inset gem. A man's belt with a magnificent gold gilt buckle and of smooth black leather is draped almost absently over the saddlebag beside her. What's our sneaking? Do we have sneaking? Not really. We could. Dan's loud though, isn't he? Yeah, sneak up behind her and knock her out. You ghost up behind her without a sound. She continues to fiddle with the jewelry, humming softly to herself all the while. A single blow puts her down and knocks her out, but as she crumples, a cry goes up from the cave mouth as a raider steps out from a hidden niche and fires his rifle at you. The shot goes wide, but the thunder echoes through the caverns, and you know that things won't be so easy anymore. Flashes of gunfire illuminate the dark tunnels in bursts of stark day as the raiders blaze away at you. In between bouts, a dim flicker of ruddy lantern light suffuses the walls. Miss Carroway unlimbers her shotgun and primed both barrels with a clack of twin hammers. The enemy is numerous and unbloodied. Try and get around them. Try and get around them. You duck into a side passage and hurry along in the darkness until you come around the flank of the oblivious raiders. A single shot sends one of them sprawling. The raiders just aren't budging. Dan glances down a side passage and a fourth stirs behind his eyes. The enemy seems as strong as ever, if a bit bloodied. Keep firing. Ribbons of gun smoke curl through the tunnels as you pick a target and pull the trigger, but the shot merely zings above his head. The smoke thickens as the enemy blazes away. Often they don't even get close, but still they keep it up. The enemy seems as strong as ever. Stay under cover. Smoke all but fills the tunnels, roiling every time a raider shoots. The enemy pauses to reload, almost as one. In a side passage, Dan stops a bit of bleeding with a twist of cloth about a massive forearm. Just a scratch. Miss Carroway clacks the twin hammers on her shotgun back into place and lets her sharp teeth show. The enemy seems as strong as the air. See if Miss Carroway has reloaded. I'm good, Miss Carroway says as she closes up the breech on her double-barreled shotgun. Without pause, she slips forward through the heavy smoke and sends a lethal rolling thunder into the raiders' midst. The enemy starts firing again. Dan digs out a spent bullet from his shoulder and flicks it aside. I think I've had enough of this. The enemy is thinning out, some with more than a few wounded. See if Dan shrugged off that wound. Dan hefts his knife in reply and heads off down the dark and smoke-filled passages. From the screams that rise up afterward, the old bear is prowling on home turf. The enemy keeps on firing, but from their glances to the rear, they'd clearly rather be elsewhere. Few of your foes move with any sort of alacrity. Try and get around them. You stifle a smoky cough as you pad through the darkness and find yourself right behind the enemy position. When you open fire, the enemy panics into flight. The enemy begins to fall back, and just like that, the chase is on. You race down tunnels and through cabins until the enemy is well scattered. When the last of the gunfire ceases, you find yourself far ahead of everything and quite alone. A crack of a pistol sounds out and a round zips past your ear. There, just down a tunnel, stands a figure you know well, Hungry Snake. His eyes are slitted with burning rage in the feeble lantern light. And you know, just know that only one of you will be walking away from this. Carroway, 105%. Carrie? Miss Carroway steps out from behind you with her shotgun in hand. She raises the shotgun up, but hesitates. I can't. You'll have to do it. Hungry Snake snorts a black laugh. Not much of an improvement for me. Knives? Sure, Miss Carroway replies, then gestures to you. Hand to hand. The old ways are the best ways. God, what's our... Brawling's 40. I mean, it's not awful. Counter. Hungry Snake circles your grip on the dueling sword. That digs a deep furrow and paints the walls red with your blood. Attack. Hungry Snake slices past your dueling sword and paints the walls red with your blood. Parry. Hungry Snake slices past your guard and paints the walls red with your blood. You stagger, and in an instant he is on you, plants a knife in your heart and another in your neck. Mercifully, the world goes dark. Let's not. Take me back to the start of the confrontation with Hungry Snake. Dan? Dan Schmidt lurches out from the shadows behind Hungry Snake and twists the pistol out of the raider's hand. Then he carries the man off into the darkness before the weapon hits the ground. That done, you hurry after your quarry but find nothing ahead. The real villains have escaped, and you know they aren't done with Lander County. The sun is somehow still up when you finally emerge from the caves. A host of discarded gear remains to be sorted and sifted, looking for maps and papers. With Hungry Snake dead, the raiders will not come back, of that much you are certain. Regina sways in the cold wind as the rope bindings dig into her wrist. She'll be a problem down the line, you can be sure of that, but once you get her back to Preston Springs, there will be an interrogation. Of course, there remain a few minor things to concern you with the painted caves and what the raiders left behind. Make certain to gather up as much evidence as possible. You expect that Regina will not plead guilt, and so a listing of all she had in her possession, as well as the items left by the raiders, will help a jury find her guilty. A strangely quiet ride ensues. Dan doesn't seem to mind the snow. Indeed, he wakes, idly shakes off what has fallen in the night, and brushes the rest out of his beard with the rubber fingers. What's one more winter when I've had so many? He notes as he removes a tiny icicle from a loose hair. Except in Wyoming, when the wind comes roaring down there, you'd think you just had a dunk in Lake Superior. Before long, you find Preston Springs before you, and with it comes the promise of hot food and a warm bed. And the apocalypse of the world outside my window. Well, that is Chapter 7 concluded. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.